Can you hear me? If you can hear me, say hook 'em horns. I'm Ronnie Paul. I'm Dr. Paul's oldest son. As y'all know, my dad's been a little busy lately, and he doesn't always remember all of us. So they volunteered me to introduce the family members that are here tonight. So, obviously, the most important person here is my mother. And she has had a real job in her life. I'm the oldest of 5 children, and with me tonight I have my wife, Peggy, my oldest daughter, Laura, and her husband, Kent. I have 3 daughters. Laura got married in December. That is the first one. I have my youngest daughter, Linda. Some of y'all seen her around. She's been traveling with my dad and helping out with my mother, so she's been on the trail all over. And then I have my sister, who is technically younger than me, but we kind of argue about who's really older, Lori. And they're not on stage, but she has a number of her in-laws and cousins and aunts and uncles that are here also from this area. I think there was a great aunt's nephew's brother-in-law that was here too, but I don't remember all their names. But we do have, I am the oldest of 5. The other 3 are not here tonight, but I do know that I like coming here because I did graduate from the University of Texas a long time ago. My oldest daughter graduated from the University of Texas. We won't tell you where the rest of the family went to school. But you didn't come to hear me. Right now, I'm going to have Caitlin come up. She's the youth organizer here and has put together a great program. And I think she got a pretty good speaker for y'all tonight. So here's Caitlin.
There are a lot of you guys. I couldn't tell if we were supposed to get a stadium, the DK Royal Stadium, or if we should get, like a tiny classroom. But I think that, this was good. So 4 years ago, I had no idea who Ron Paul was, unfortunately. I was walking along Zilker one day, and I saw a Ron Paul Revolution table, and I didn't know how to feel about it because I knew that I hated politicians, but I couldn't tell if it was Republican or Democrat, so I didn't know how I was supposed to hate it. But I figured out who Ron Paul was, and now I'm involved in politics, and I'm not apathetic anymore, and there's nothing I'd rather be doing with my time. And so, so now we have, a pro-peace, anti all wars, and I mean, I think that that's amazing that we have someone who's polling so well in an actual race. And no matter what anybody says, the numbers don't lie. Yeah. Just look around you and you'll understand why the man that I'm about to bring onto stage is a phenomenon. So everybody give a warm welcome to your favorite, awesome presidential candidate, Dr. Ron Paul.
Thank you. Great job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. What a nice reception. I appreciate that very much. And Caitlin, very nice introduction. It's great to be here. It's a great day today, and it's a great time to continue with our revolution. Caitlin indicated that we're somewhat different than some of the other politicians. And if somebody would come from outside our campaign and come visit, these campaign events are a little bit different too, because earlier on I saw something, I said, I'll bet that never shows up in another candidate. Somebody holds up a sign and says, raw milk. There we go. Now, and also, how many other candidates are getting the chance? And the Fed. But those are nice slogans, but the real issue is our liberty, and we're bound and determined to get our liberties back again. You know, it is rather discouraging. In Washington, not much seems to be happening, but where the real encouragement is when you leave Washington, come out, get on the campaign trail, and meet people like you. That uplifts me, and thank you very much for being with us. I'm asked so often, why do young people seem to be interested? Well, why shouldn't young people be interested in their own freedom? One thing that's happened in the last 4 years is it's not so much that people have completely given up on the idea that the government's supposed to take care of everybody else. I don't know where they're going to get everything if everybody's being taken care of by somebody else. But I think what's happened in the last 4 years, a lot of people woke up and realized that it doesn't work anymore. How long can a housing bubble last? Eventually it bursts and the people it was supposed to help lose their houses. So people have awakened and said, look, this system isn't working very well. This monetary system doesn't work. This entitlement system enriches the rich and not the poor. And also we have a foreign policy that is deeply flawed, and most people in this country now, by a large majority, says it's time to come home. Fix them for me here. Bring them up a little bit. There we go. Try that a little bit better. All right. Now, there is no doubt that there are changes coming, and there's a big difference in these last 4 years. But Washington is always the last ones to wake up. You know, where I go, we get the large crowds, and they're very concerned, of course, about the attack on personal liberties. If you mention just the National Defense Authorization Act, most people know exactly what I'm talking about. And then, of course, we've been talking a lot about the bill that they want to use to regulate the Internet. The CISPA is the bill they're working on right now. Now, we were able to stop, the Stop Online Piracy Act because people rallied. But guess what? The bad news is our noise and our voices weren't quite loud enough because they went in the House today and overwhelmingly passed that new bill called CISPA. Which means that that's just one more bill we're going to have to repeal whenever we get the chance. Along with the Patriot Act, of course. Of course, the National Defense Authorization Act, that's an atrocious piece of legislation. That's the one that legalizes, with concurrence with the Congress, for the U.S. military to arrest American citizens that are only suspect, and put them arrested by the military and put them in prison, and no attorney authorized, in secrecy. That bill should be very high on the list for repeal as well. A couple of weeks ago, the president renewed a bill called the Defense Production Act, which has been sitting around for a long time, and it means that in a time of national emergency, war going on, the president has the authority, of course, to declare, a total ownership of all businesses and all financial institutions. What the president did by executive order, he added the phrase, during peacetime as well. So you say, is that the law of the land? Well, not technically. If we had the good court system, it would be unconstitutional. How can the president legislate like that? Only the Congress can legislate. And I am of the firm conviction that a constitutional president, if in charge, even though the executive orders would be very limited to those functions which were expressly authorized by the Constitution, I am convinced that it would be proper to be a constitutional president to use the executive order to repeal all other illegal executive orders. So we have a long way to go. The attack on civil liberties have been rather severe because it is the principle of liberty you have to deal with. So if you're dealing with your personal lives and how you want to run your life, your ownership of your own lives, as well as your economic liberty and the foreign policy and monetary policy, it really boils down to the principle of what Jefferson started off with. Our inalienable rights, our rights to our life and our liberty and the right to pursue our happiness, and it is being God-given, given to us not by our government, but by our Creator. So under those circumstances, of course, the founders made a very serious attempt to try to prevent us from drifting back into tyranny. A good document, probably one of the best, but the last 100 years, we as American citizens have been very careless. But that's what this revolution is all about, is to revive the true spirit of liberty and reverse the trends of the past 100 years, change our foreign policy, change our monetary policy, and change the spending habits and the deficits that have run us into this horrendous financial crisis. This can be done simply by sending only people to Washington who are certified capable of reading the Constitution and that you believe them when they take the oath of office. Because we got in this trouble because of the careless interpretation of the Constitution, the Interstate Commerce Clause, the General Welfare Clause, the not reading and caring about Article 1, Section A, not caring about the 9th and 10th Amendment. It wouldn't be that difficult. We don't have to invent anything new. We just need men and women of integrity that will take their oath of office seriously. If we got into this mess by not following the law book, all we need is to follow the law book, follow the Constitution. We'll get out of this mess. Since World War II, we have been in numerous wars, almost constant wars. Not one single war has been declared since World War II. So simply, why don't we follow the law and say that the people, through their representatives in Congress, are the only ones who are allowed to declare war? And if we had that provision, had that been followed, we would have fought no wars since World War II. Think how much wealthier this country would be. Think how much less death and destruction we would have had. Even if you took just the past 10 years, our national debt has been pushed up $4 trillion because of all the wars going on in the Middle East. And what are the politicians talking about today, Democrats and Republicans? They're overly anxious to start the next one, going into Syria and going to Iran. I say, no more wars. Get out of the wars and come home. It's a moral issue, it's a constitutional issue, but you know, it's also an economic issue because great empires, great nations always seem to overextend themselves. Fortunately, we didn't have to have a nuclear exchange with the Soviets. They went broke before we did, and they had to go home and their system fell apart. I was in the military in the 1960s for 5 years. I was drafted during the Cuban crisis. And believe me, if we can stand up to the Soviets who had 30,000 nuclear weapons, don't you think we could stand up and not be intimidated and act so frightened by a country that has no nuclear weapons and